So I'm going to look down at my feet and I'm going to spread my toes out super, super wide. I'm giving my toes a little wiggle, just saying hello. Now I've taken my socks off. Usually I like to do this in my socks, but I've taken them off, mistake. My toes are already cold. But give your feet a little wiggle. And really spread your toes out. So we're sending our mind's eye right down into your feet. And just have a little roll inwards and outwards. Roll forwards and backwards. Just really pressing every part of that underneath of your foot into the floor, your mat, your towel, whatever you're standing on. But just finding that. Yeah, nice. And then we'll do what we've done the last couple of weeks, which is just take a little sway. So we're trying to keep the body in one nice big line. Ooh. And just testing our balance today. We're waking up some little senses in the back of the brains. Wake up those senses. Ooh. See how far you can push yourself. That's it. It's always funny doing this bit because it makes me feel like I'm on a boat when I'm looking at you. Swaying from side to side. Okay, excellent. So then we just let those sways melt away. We've had a little play with our placement. So let's bring our focus right down to our center. So like I've said, each week, your core fills the whole of this area all the way around. So it's not just this bit at the front that everyone's focused on and obsessed with. It's everything around. So you're like an apple with a core. So when I'm asking you to imagine you're pulling your belt in super tight, feel that going all the way around. So really feel that sensation of everything squeezing in from your back to your front and each of your sides. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as much as you can, like taking your breath away. And then let it go to about 50%. And let it go another 20%. And there's that sort of slight feeling of engagement. And then just let it go and have a little wiggle. Let your belly be nice and soft. Let your bum be nice and soft. So we can do that again, and this time we're going to hold that sensation. So pulling in the belt as tight as you can. Tight, 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 tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze all the way around from the front right the way around to the back. And that's it. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then let it go to about 50%. And then down to about sort of 30%. And it's that feeling. That is the feeling of when there's those words, engage your core. It's that feeling that you've got now. It's that feeling as if you're about to sneeze or as if something's made you jump. It's that sensation. So we're going to try and engage that core as much as you can. When I remind you, that's plenty enough. Okay, so whilst we're thinking about your belt being pulled in nice and tight and firm to give you support to your back, we're now going to send our focus into your pelvic floor. So imagining your pelvic floor, it's that muscle that stops you from having a wee. So squeeze it in and imagine it's an elevator. It's going all the way up, up, up to the very, very top floor, to the penthouse, right up to the very, very top. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then let it go to about halfway down. So let it go a little bit. And then a little tiny bit more. And then let it go all the way. Really relax your pelvic floor. That's nice. So we'll do the same thing again. So squeezing in like you need a wee. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Feel it go all the way up to the very, very top floor, to that penthouse suite. And then let it drop down. It's quite a difficult one, this one. You have to really focus. About fifth of the way down. A little bit more, 50%, I should say. And then when you're about 30%, so you've got your belt in nice and tight to about 30%, you've got that pelvic floor in about 30%, that's where you want to be. When I give you the nod, so think about that pelvic floor, think about your core, it's that sensation there. Okay, it's really hard to keep it going all the way. Your body is amazing at keeping it going itself. It's just our brains giving it that little tick to get it going. So whilst we're there in that nice stance, standing on 2 feet, pulling up really nice and tall, letting the shoulder blades start to peel down in towards the base of the spine. Fingertips are long, heavy fingernails. We're lengthening just really naturally. Let there be a decent space between your shoulders and your earlobes, and your chin is on a shelf. And as we're thinking about that chin, we're going to just let the eye line gaze around the room. So a slow motion saying no. So don't force it. And like I've said each week, see the things in your room. So we like to use the term of looking out to the horizon. Unfortunately, I can't see her horizon. I can see some nice candlesticks there and the odd lampshade, a couple of lights. So I'm just taking my eyeliner and really taking in the whole room. Make this one your last one, and then we're going to do very slow motion yes with your head. So don't let your head fall all the way back. Let your eye line trace all the way down. Tucking your chin slightly in, but not all the way to your chest. Take a few of those. Still trying to think about that nice tight belt. Think about that pelvic floor about halfway up to the penthouse. You can make it. And make this your last one. Okay, good. We're going to open up the shoulders. So we're just taking some little crosses all the way up. Not so it goes right by your ears. Just in front of your eyebrows is plenty. And all the way back down again. We're going to start thinking about our breathing as we go. So breathing in, on the up, and out on the down. So this is just getting those shoulders engaged. Breathing in on the up. And out on the down. So keep going with those. Obviously, I don't want you to run out of breath. So if you need to not copy me exactly in terms of when you go up and when you go down, and when you breathe in and when you breathe out, then please do. And we make those a little bit bigger. 2 more. Think about that chin. Make sure it doesn't drop backwards. Keep it on a shelf. Last one. And out. And let those hands melt away. Okay. Just notice if you've locked in your knees. I'm saying that to you because I definitely have. So just give them a little soften. Notice as well if your glutes are suddenly turning to sort of rock, or they just feel really tense. So just think about loosening that, but still having that nice feeling really inside, have a nice tightening. So it doesn't mean that everything's got to be rigid. We need to find that strength from inside. We're going to take our motion back up to our shoulders. So we do shoulders, then fingertips on your shoulders and bring elbow circle, really opening out. Then the whole arm comes all the way around. We take a little bend and we come up. I'm pushing the floor away and I'm going up to a nice rise. So again, just be mindful that your hands don't disappear behind your back. It's going to throw your balance. There's sort of 45-degree angle, and then take them out and lower down. And again, we do shoulders and elbows. Little scoop all the way around and lift up, push, 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 push. Trying to find lengthening, try not to wear your shoulders as earrings, and slowly lower, but imagine you don't get any shorter. Yeah, nice. And again, shoulders and elbows and arms, and lift up, stretch, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Shoulders are going down, fingers are going up. Trying not to roll in my ankles if I can. Really finding that balance, chin on a shelf and out. I'm going to do, you were just about to see my cat. Shoulders and elbows. It's funny, he doesn't want anything to do with me today. As soon as this is on, he's like, oh, hello. Lifting up. There we go. And we'll do one more with a cat-free moment. Shoulders, elbows, arms. Really squeeze in that belt, squeeze in the pelvic floor, long, long neck. Shoulder blades drawing down in towards the spine, and release. Down, give your arms a little shake. Honestly, I thought he was going to come right up to you then, which would really make me laugh. I'm going to do the same squats that we did last week, where I turned on the side for you, because I felt like even when I watched my super silly fast-forwarded video, it looked better, I think. So, excuse me. When I'm going down into my squat, and I know I've sort of mentioned this, touched on this last week, it's that feeling like there's a toilet there that you don't really want to sit on, and it's that time when you've just got to hover. Ladies, we've all been there. So I'm stretching back, and my bum is going back, but my fingertips going forward. I'm being really careful not to hunch my shoulders. I'm drawing my shoulder blades down, and I'm pulling my belt buckle in nice and tight. And as I press the floor away, I push my hands down, and I'm going to breathe out. I'm going to breathe in on the squat, breathing in, sending everything down, and I breathe out and I push through. Yeah, very nice. We'll keep going just like that. Breathe in and out. Okay, keep going in your own time. Really thinking about sending your tailbone as far back as you can and pushing through the heels to stand up. If you want to increase this a bit further, really test yourself. If you just take your toes off and flex them a little bit or give them a wiggle, That's going to really test where your balance is. Yeah, very nice. So keep going in your own time. Really feel like you're pushing yourself up. And when you come up to that standing position, make sure your eye line is straight out, your chin is on a shelf, and you're reaching the full standing position. 2 more. Last one. And up. Okay. Everyone all right? Yeah, nice. Excellent. Right, we're going to move straight on into our roll down. So we do this every week. So I know lots of you know what we're doing. So feel free to crack on if you're feeling confident. You can follow me if this is your first time. So we're rolling down through the body. So my chin goes on to my chest first of all. It's as if my head is made of lead. Gravity is doing the work. I'm being drawn down. Now there will be a point you will get to where you think, I think my legs are going to snap. At that point you need to bend your knees. Imagine you've got a nice cup of tea resting on the small of your back, and you very carefully take yourself out into a tabletop. From here you're going to do 3 presses. So you can either do bicep presses where your elbows are going outwards or towards the corners, or you can tuck them in and do a tricep. So you can choose, but make sure that your nose is going in front of your fingers. Or a really, really easy way to remember is that your nipples go between your thumbs. Lovely, just what we want. Once you've done your 3, you very carefully, thinking about that cup of tea, reverse the action. So I find that stretch where I'm curled over, soften the knees as I slowly uncurl 1 vertebrae at a time. So really take your time on that bit. Really let every vertebrae have a moment. Reach your full standing position. Weight on both legs. Nice deep breath in. And we breathe out to go again. So I'm rolling down. Imagine there's like a little person walking down your spine. And as their little feet hit each vertebrae, it sends you forward. So find that moment where it's just too much to stretch. Softening the knees. Cup of tea on the base of your spine. Taking it all the way out. Now in these presses, we breathe in on the down, we breathe out on the up. And in on the down, out on the up. Think about that nice tight belt. Think about that pelvic floor. Very good. Keep going. So steady as you go up. Now those of you that are hardened Pilates people, have been doing this for a while, feel free to do full press up if you like. Do more press-ups than 3, like challenge yourself today if you're feeling up for it. Breathing in and then out to go down to repeat. Then we all need to work at our own pace. So I might be going too slow for you today, so feel free to just work through this in your own time. So breathing in on the down and blowing the floor away. And in. I'm finding that stillness in my lower back, keeping it really still, thinking about that nice tight belt, thinking about that pelvic floor. 1 vertebrae at a time to go up. We're going to do 2 more, and the second one you're not going to come to standing. So 2 more in your own time. Now if you're finding that if you struggle with back pain, and this is aggravating, just know whether it's aggravating because it's a part of the body that we don't use or it's not strong, or whether it's aggravating because you feel like there's something not right. Trust your instinct. Hopefully it's more of a mobility situation where we don't have enough mobility in our lower backs because of the nature of our lives, a lot of sitting. And actually when we do these exercises, all it's doing is waking those muscles up. So it's just saying hello. Last one for me. So after I've got through this nice big stretch, carefully taking myself out, I might try 3 crazy press-ups. So after your last one, you're going to sit yourself back, toes together, knees apart, and sit back into a child's pose. So I like to have your knees apart because I find it more comfortable. It just allows there to be a little bit more space in my lower back. So we're aiming to get our bottom on our heels. That's a massive challenge for me. I don't think I've ever been able to do it. head resting on the mat, and just not overstretching the arms, but make sure that they're feeling like there's a nice stretch going down the centre of your back, into the shoulder blades. Nice deep breath in, fill the lungs, and breathe out. And another, breathing in, fill the lungs, and breathe out. Okay, so we're going to do a little tiny bit more in our box shape, but not too much. I'm gonna try and get it right. So we're going to start by doing some cat camels. So I'm in my all-4 shape, making sure we're making a nice line between shoulder to wrist and hip to knee, and the space between my knees is the same as the space between my wrists. I'm in a lovely box shape, and we're just gonna curve the spine a little bit just to wake it up before we go into full cat camel. So on my cat, I'm really flexing and I'm lifting my chin as I breathe in, relaxing in the lower back, pulling my shoulder blades down. As I breathe out, I'm tucking everything under, blowing it away and giving myself a nice big camel hump. So really, really tuck that chin in and then breathing in to take it back into a cat. Really reverse that moment, lifting the chin and out. So you can go through this and you can be going much quicker than me, or you can be going much slower. So find your groove, find what you like. I really feel this in my lower back, but I feel confident enough to know that it's just a feeling of almost just being woken up, like I've mentioned before. So I know that it's not going to cause me any pain. It's just my lower back saying, oh, thanks. You remembered I'm here. Okay, we're going to do 3 more of those. So breathing in and out. In on the cat, out on the camel. That's it. So once you've done your 3, we're going to just do some nice hip swings around in one direction and the other direction. So that's my last one. So I'm just swinging my hips around one way, nice and swingy and relaxing, and then the other way. I really like doing that. I'm going to go again. I don't know what it is, but I find it such a nice feeling. And up. And last one, all the way round and up. Okay, so another one we've got over here. So I'm going to take a nice deep breath in. And as I breathe out, I'm looking over my shoulder towards my hip. And I'm trying to see if I can see it. Breathing in on the way back into center. And out in the middle. We go the other way. We breathe in. Breathe out and a little twist. I look over my shoulder towards my hip. And I'm bringing my hip towards that shoulder as well. So I'm shortening the space in my waist. Bringing back into the center. And out. Bringing those shoulder blades down. We're going to go again. Breathe in. Have a little look. As you're breathing out. This is a really strange one. I think when I first started doing this, I just couldn't see behind my shoulder at all. There was no mobility there at all. Going the other way. But eventually, I kind of got there. Okay, so I'm just going to sit back once again. Just have a little round circle of your back a little bit. Get back into your child's pose. Give your wrists a rest. We're going to do one more. We're going to do Supermans. And then we'll be doing our legs, so we'll be lying on our sides. Okay? So, oh, that feels nice. When you're ready, give your wrists a little roll. Give them a little press. I promise, there's only one. So, Supermans. I'm back in this nice box shape. And again, I want to bring your mind back to a cup of tea being sitting here, or a gin and tonic, or, in my case, a jalapeno frozen margarita. Yes. Okay, so we're keeping that center really, really strong. Sometimes it helps, if you think about your shoulder blades, to roll your shoulders, to just draw them down into the base of the spine so they don't feel like they're creeping into your ears. I'm pulling that belt buckle in. I'm thinking about the pelvic floor. I'm extending the opposite arm and leg, tracing a line across the floor or my mat. When I get to my extension, I do a little lift, and then I lower and back in again. I'm going to go on the other side. Now you can, if you prefer, to keep your finger and your toe on the floor, that's absolutely fine. Or you can lift and lower, okay? So you're just alternating between one side of the body and the other. Really reaching without overextending, but think of being pulled in a diagonal down each side of the body. And if we're thinking about our breathing, we're breathing in, out on the lift, in, and out. Okay, keep thinking about that core. Think about that cup of tea. Find your strength. That's good. So if it does your head in trying to think about the breathing, because it takes a while to get the breathing in to go. When you're doing the exertion, which is usually the lift, that's when you breathe out. But as long as you keep breathing in some way or another, that's just fine. Okay. So we're going to do 4 more, so 2 on each side. So really nice and gentle. Keep thinking about that cup of tea all the time. Not just when you're doing the lift, but when you're taking your finger and your hands out and bringing them back in again. So I'm on my last 2. And my last one. Okay, very good. You can take another hip swing. Oh, nice and slow and relaxing. And the other way. Very good. Right, we're not going to do any more in that box position. That's quite enough. So, if you don't have a cushion already, grab a cushion. So now's the time to get comfy and have a quick drink. We're going to go down and do all our leg bits. So now's a good time to have a quick drink. I've got an exercise when we do our centres, which involves your cushion being used as a tray. And I just thought I might actually catch a light today. I like having the candles. It smells nice, but it's a bit of a safety hazard. Not going to lie. Right, I'll have a quick drink. And then we're going to go down. So this is a classic actually. We did this one the first week and the second week, and then we haven't done it for a while, and then today I was like, oh, we'll bring it back. I like to call it Jane Fonda. Actually, Kelly used to do tone time with me, so you'll remember this. This is something I used to do years ago. So, we're using our cushion for comfort. I've got it underneath my elbow. I'm making sure it's not behind me. Using the front of my mat, or if you've got hard floor and you've got some lines in it, to use that. And I'm making sure I'm stacked on my hips, so not sitting back on the fleshy bit of my bum. I'm pushing everything up and I'm almost pushing everything towards that top of that thigh. So I'm making sure there's a nice space between my earlobe and my shoulder, so I'm not collapsing in here. And I'm lifting up underneath in my rib cage too. And then as we go, we just do some little lifts and lowers. So I'm breathing out on the lift, okay? So it doesn't have to be huge. You've got some options here if you want to work a little more intensely. You just flex that top foot. If you want to work even more intensely than that, then give it a little rotation so the heel is leading. You'll really feel that if you do that. So you've got some options there. If it's challenging for you to set up this, you can always bend your underneath leg. Okay, that's just going to give you a little bit more balance, but it's not going to affect how hard you're working on any of your body. It's just going to give you some extra support. So you've got some options. And you can keep that pulsing action. That's it, as we go. So lifting up in this rib cage, making sure there's a nice space here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Now you can either rest or you can keep it lifted. Woo. We're going to do our M's. So I'm doing an M shape and then I take it behind. Go forwards, forward, back, behind. That's it. So you've got to really keep the upper half of the body nice and still. You don't want to be doing some kind of seesaw action. So lifting up at the top of your head. So I've got a big bun on the top of my head, and I like to think about the energy going out the top of my head. So I'm lengthening from the top of my bun all the way down to my toes. Now, depending on how big those M's are, it's going to depend how intensely you're feeling it. You can also flex your foot if you're feeling completely bonkers on this Wednesday. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and Oh my gosh. Lordy Lord, that was a good one. Give your thigh a rub. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to make it a bit more comfortable now. Oh, that's it. Just have a collapse. There we go. So find your comfy place. I'll take this top leg forward. So we've done this one every week because I think this is one of the most important exercises we can do, especially us females. So I'm taking my mind in, really internal, thinking about the pelvic floor, thinking about my bum cheeks squeezing together and the very, 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 very top part of the inside of your thigh. So those three areas. And as I squeeze those three areas, you'll feel something happening with that leg that's lying down on the floor. Okay, so it could be as much as a lift. It could just be like a little shudder. So sometimes if you close your eyes, it helps. But you've really got to try and think of those three areas. So don't let the action come just from your bum cheeks squeezing together or just from the tops of your thighs squeezing together. Don't forget the pelvic floor. Try and get all of them engaged. And when they release afterwards, really let them relax. Because the more you relax, the greater they've got to work in order to squeeze again, which obviously means that they're working that tiny, tiny bit harder, which is what we want. So keep doing those little squeezes and releasing. Now when you squeeze, you're breathing out, releasing, breathing in, and out. So we do a few more of those. And let's say we do 2 more. When you get to your second one, I want you to hold that squeeze. And then draw a little circle with your toe, about the size of a golf ball. Now, if you want to work a bit harder, you can flex that foot and you can draw the golf ball with your heel. Okay, let the upper half of your body relax. So don't let these shoulders disappear up into your ears. Now take the golf ball the other way. That's it. Keep everything nice and still in the upper half of the body. Release the shoulders. 5, 4, keep squeezing. 3, 2, 1. Ah, that feels very warm around the top of my leg. So I'm going to bring my feet together and then I'm going to draw them up. And we're going to do a good old classic clam. So I'm still keeping my hips stacked. So be careful when you're trying to keep those knees together. Be careful that top hip doesn't start to slide backwards. Got to keep it on top there. And my insides of my feet, from the inside of my toe to my heel, is like this, super glued together. And if that's uncomfortable for you, just take your feet further away from your bum, and that will be, you just find your happy place, like where you feel like that. I can just keep my feet together like that. And it's a gentle lift and a lower. So I like to put my hand on my hip because I feel like it just keeps me in a better position. So you could try that. If you want to work a little bit harder, you can keep your hand behind your ear. Or you can keep your hand here, so it's up to you. So we want to be careful that when we open, that we're not letting the hips roll backwards. So I'm lifting and lowering. I would suggest that you don't let your knees meet between the opening, because that's just going to keep it nice and intense for you. That's it. So breathing in and out, and in and out. That's it. Breathing in. Good. You feel it all around here. Yes. Yes. We do 3 more. And 3. And 2. And 1. Very good. Okay, and relax. Bring your knees in towards your chest, or give your legs a rub. Do whatever you need to do, whatever feels nice. Ooh. So we're going to gently take ourselves up to sitting. So feel free to grab another sip of drink, but do take your time to come up to sitting. You don't need to get any big head rushes. Now you can either sit on your cushion if it's more comfortable. You know I like to sit on Tina. So you guys should come to my class on Friday. My open freestyle class. It's like having a nightclub in my house. I mean, it's obviously a party for one, but we're going to be doing Proud Mary Tina Turner again this week because it's such a laugh. So, amongst other things. I sit on Tina because when I cross my legs, I don't find it very comfortable. So, if it's helpful to sit on a book or a cushion, then do. We're going to do some work on the arms and we're going to do some work on the neck. So, just give yourselves a shoulder roll to begin with. And I'm just going to take my hands across my body. So I'm going opposite hand to knee. I take a breath in. I breathe out and I'm really increasing that twist by looking behind. So I'm pushing on this knee ever so slightly to get a bit of resistance and twisting in the middle of the spine, bringing it back to the center. And the other way. So I go all the way around. I get hold of that knee. I lift up as I twist. Think about the center of the spine. Focus where that twist is happening, where that spiral is happening. And back to center. We'll just do one more of those on each side. So breathing in. And out. So you can go a bit further. Breathing in. Keeping going. And out. And back to center. G'day, g'day. I can take my hands behind my head. I'm interlinking my fingers. And I'm just gently going to let my head rest down, chin towards my chest. So nice long back. Don't let the whole of the upper half of your body cave in. Make sure you're still sitting nice and stacked. And this is just coming from the neck. So just getting some space in your neck, especially if you sit or you're unfortunate enough to sit or being at a desk all day. Then, without moving your head, release your hands first of all, and you'll get that amazing feeling like your head's full of helium. And then very gently just come up to sitting. Roll that head back up and take a shoulder. Nice, okay. So we'll do the same arm exercise that we did last week because, quite frankly, I like it. So I'm keeping my elbows in towards my waist, and they're like barn doors. They close in front of my belly button and they open. So I want you to think about your shoulder blades sort of almost kissing together. Like as your arms open, you squeeze those shoulder blades, really opening out the chest. Again, this is a great one if you're sitting at a desk throughout the day, because you can do this, you know, whilst you're sat at your desk. If you're feeling tense or that horrible feeling around your neck, then this is quite a good one. Breathing in and out. So we're going to just embellish it slightly. So the next time we go out, we'll do a little extend and back in and close. We take it out, extend and in. Good. So when we take it out, think of the arms coming right up to shoulder height, and then the elbows draw down and cross. It's a good one. I can hear my shoulders crunching. It's quite unnerving. Don't worry too much if your shoulders are crunching. Again, it's just that thing where we don't use these muscles very often. We're going to do two more. Nice long neck. Think about big space between your earlobes and your shoulders. Last one. And rest those arms. Oh yes, that felt good. I do like that one. That's a goodie. So I'm going to move my cushion up the other end. Tina, you can go over there for a minute. And we're going to do all that leg stuff on the other side. So we're getting up on the elbow first, finding that nice straight line all the way down the side of the body. Nice straight line, finding that balance. You'll feel it if you don't feel like you're in the right place, you'll know. And don't be afraid halfway through to adjust yourself. Don't get into it and think, oh, I'm in it now. Stop, recover, and join back in. So I'm starting off with nice space, lifting my rib cage up. Nice space between my ear and my shoulders. We're not wearing shoulders as earrings. And then when I'm ready, just letting that leg float up and down. So my feet aren't meeting. They're like little bounces. That's it. So I'm long and lean. So like I said before, if you want to really test yourself, you can always take your fingertips behind your ears or onto your leg, or just having it resting down the front. So you can choose. You might always start in one way and think that was a mistake. You can also flex that foot if you want, and you can rotate it slightly so it's leading with the heel. So you've got loads of options. Don't forget you can also bend that underneath leg if you find that your balance isn't quite so good. And you'll find that one side is different to the other, so that's absolutely fine. It's not meaning you're working any less intensely, it's just supporting your body, giving yourself a bit of a break. 4, 3, 2, 1. So either rest, I'm challenging myself by not resting, and I'm going to do my little M shapes. So make it go behind. We go in front, and back, behind. So we've got a little crossing over. So again, you can pulse as you go. The bigger the M's, the harder you're working. Don't slouch. Up in your rib cage. Space underneath your earlobe to your shoulder. You can do it. Oh my God. Oh my word. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Goodness gracious me. You are so lucky. That's the words that came out of my mouth then. Whoa. Give your leg a little shake. Gosh. Oh, let's give ourselves a rest. So get yourselves comfy. Okay, so I might have to give that a bit more of a shake, you know, Lordy. Nice, comfortable position. So be as restful as you can, and just thinking about that nice squeezing action. So pelvic floor, tops of the thighs, and your glutes are squeezing together. Nice to close your eyes, and if you can, we're breathing in on the release and out on the squeeze. It doesn't matter how much your leg moves. It really doesn't. Everyone is so different. So just try and get some sort of, it might just even be a shudder. But if you can really make that underneath leg sort of almost like it's gone to sleep, you're going to get the most out of it. Don't forget to really relax between the squeezes. Think about what's happening at the top half of your body. So even though we're nice and relaxed, your shoulders will naturally want to go towards your ears, because that's unfortunately our sort of default position. So just try and lengthen the neck a little bit. Don't overdo it, but just be aware of where your shoulders are sitting. Try and stack them and get some weight into your hands here. Let that shoulder roll into your hand, if anywhere else, rather than your ear. We can do 3 more. And the last one, I want you to hold it in that squeeze. So if your foot isn't off the floor, just lift it a little bit, give it a little bit of effort so that you're able to make those little golf ball size circles. So squeezing. Think about that pelvic floor. So when we suffer with lower back pain, a lot of that comes from a weakness in the pelvic floor, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have, you know, an accident or you have a little bit of wee coming out every now and then. It doesn't need to be as drastic as that. But if you can strengthen from the inside out, which is what Pilates helps you to do by engaging your core and your pelvic floor, it will help your lower back massively. We're going back the other way. Remember, you can flex that foot if you want to. If you're not feeling like you'd rather cut your leg off at this point. Think about where your shoulders are. Squeeze that pelvic floor. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Goodness me. Right, feet together. Last little bit, and then we'll move on. We'll leave our legs alone for a bit. So I'm super gluing the insides of my feet together, drawing my knees in, my feet towards my bum, finding that happy place, my comfortable spot. And then I'm going to put my hand on my hip to sort of press it forward ever so slightly. And I'm just lifting and lowering. So a very nice clam. Breathe in and out. Remember to just let those knees hover. Don't let them come together. Let them have a little hover so that we're making sure we're making the most of this action. So a little bit of pressure down the insides of your feet will help you just to turn it up a tiny notch if you're up for that today. And even though we're lying down, still think about that pelvic floor, obviously, but think about that belt being just lightly niched in, maybe an extra belt hole if you can. And 3 more. Think about your shoulders in line with your ears. And when you've done your third one, just have a rest. Oh, okay, have a little stretch. Whee, that feels nice. Okay, we're just going to very gently sit up for a bit initially. So take your time, have another sip of drink if you need to. So we're going to, this is what I was talking about earlier when I thought, oh God, I'm going to set fire to myself. So I'm actually going to slightly change what I was going to do. Right. I'm going to use my cushion. I'm going to tuck it underneath my bum a little bit. I'm going to use that as a support for my lower back. We did this last week, okay? So there's this common thought that if you've got anything that's supporting you or helping you, it means that you're sort of weaker or you're not working as hard, and it's absolutely nonsense, especially if you've got back problems. All this does is it gives your back a break and allows your core to work a little bit harder. So I'm going to squish that in there, and I'm going to use my book. Not that books are any less flammable, but slightly less flammable than my cushion. I'm going to hold my book out as if it's a nice tray of drinks, okay? So I'm going to take myself back until that point where I'm using that cushion as a little bit of a support. Oh, actually, that's very helpful. There we go. A little bit of a support, and to the point where I think, oh yeah, my feet are just about going to come off the floor, but I'm still able to keep my chest lifted. So you've got a tray of drinks here, and I've got a cup of tea on my chest. I mean, this is like some kind of circus thing going on. And I take a nice deep breath in, and you're going to serve your drinks. So I'm twisting one way, and bring it back in. And the other way. And in. So as far as you can comfortably go, whilst not moving from your waist down. So keep that chest lifted. I can't turn very far that way because I crash into my bookcase. But try and make sure that you're getting as much rotation as you can. And just like we did at the very start of the class, use your eye line. So see around the room. Know what you're seeing. Keep that chest lifted. We're going to do 2 more. Very nice. Excellent. Then coming back to centre and sitting up nice and tall and putting your tray of drinks down. There we go, Tina. Yeah, I was going to do that with the cushion, but I did think, you know, I could have moved the candle, obviously. That would have been a really smart thing to do. Right, we're going to take ourselves down onto our cushion. So I'm going to use my cushion as a headrest. So make your way down onto your flat back. Oh, there we go. That was really gracefully done by me. So I like to use a cushion because I find that it helps my alignment. Now, some of you might find that one cushion isn't quite enough. Some of you might prefer to have no cushion at all. If one cushion isn't quite enough, you can also stick your book or your block underneath your cushion. So what we're trying to achieve, for me, I found then I'm like this, and I just feel like there's too much going on, and I prefer to have a cushion so that I don't have to worry about my head, and it's way more comfortable, let's be honest. So let's find our lovely little imprint. So just as we're lying there, feet are flat, and in your mind's eye, we're thinking like we're a pair of tram lines. So from my big toe, I'm drawing a line all the way up through my ankles, over my knees, down my thighs, through my hips, up through the torso, the shoulders, it goes out, skims past my ears and out the top of my head. So I'm in this nice long line. Now just be aware of what's going on in your centre here. So we should all have a natural curve in our spine, but what we need to try and do is work out how we can get that nice belt buckle to engage a little bit. So you've got the magic triangle. I was going to call it the Bermuda Triangle. Well, I suppose it might be the Bermuda Triangle for some of us. So you've got your 2 hip bones and your pubic bone, and that's a triangle. And you need to have each point of the triangle on an even flat keel. So again, we can have that cup of tea there. That's a really good thing mentally to think about. So if I overarch, then you can see that the pubic bone point is below the level of the hips. And if I overdo it the other way, then the hip bones are lower. So you just need to roll forwards and backwards in your own time to feel what that's like and find that point where you feel like, yeah, that feels like it's a good level. That's going to be my flat spot, my Bermuda Triangle. I'm going to have to call it Bermuda Triangle now forever and ever. Okay, so when you've got your Bermuda triangle, I want you to think about there's a little piece of string on your bottom rib and it's connecting to the hip bones of your Bermuda triangle. And you're just giving a little pull to shorten that gap and just let your ribs relax into the mat. So you're really nice, flat and relaxed. Let your shoulders relax onto the mat and don't let your rib cage pop out. Okay, think about where your chin is, don't let that go back. Take a nice deep breath in and out. So just feel what that feels like. So we're going to do some dead bugs. So I take my feet up into tabletop first of all. Take a breath in, one leg up to tabletop, shins pointing towards the ceiling and the other leg joins. So thinking about that cup of tea, that Bermuda triangle, think about that shortness between the ribs and the top of the hips. As I'm there, I'm taking my hands above, so they're right above me in a parallel stretch. I take a breath in and I lower opposite arm and opposite foot, just like the Superman's. Like so. And then breathing out to bring it together. Other side, breathe in and out. Now you can drop your heel or you can drop your toe. I'm sure there's probably a difference between the two. I think I'm doing heels today. If this is too uncomfortable for your lower back, you can do this with one foot on the floor. So I'm going to demonstrate, but please do carry on if you're comfortable. I put one on the floor and I just do one arm on one leg. I'm going to do 5 or 6 and then I'm going to swap over. So just like I said before, it doesn't mean that you're working any less hard, it's just supporting your lower back. It's just meaning your body's having the opportunity to work more effectively. So that's your option. So you're either alternating with both legs and both feet working, or you're doing one on the floor. So think about that nice Bermuda triangle, keeping it nice and flat with that cup of tea. A tiny little gap, just enough to place the letter in the small of your back. We can do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Okay, good. Give your knees a little squeeze. Oh, very good. We've got a couple more exercises like this. So, we're going to do a knee squeeze. So, I've got one leg extended and one knee squeezed in towards my chest. But that extended leg, I'm going to take it up to about a 45-degree angle like so. And I'm just alternating which knee comes in towards my chest, okay? Breathing in as you change, out as you extend. If you want to work a little bit harder, simply take your head and shoulders off of your cushion. That's nice and steady, because we're working really slowly and steady to really get working into that nice, deep core muscles right in your center. Keep lifting that head and shoulders off of the mat if that's your choice. Nice 45-degree angle. We're going to do 4 more. 3 more. Last 2. And gently resting back onto the mat, that's where you're at. And just give your knees a squeeze. Give your lower back a little bit of a massage. Massaging the other way. Very nice. Okay. Right. We've got one more to do in this position, and then we're going to do some hip raises today because we haven't done those for a couple of weeks. So it's kind of similar, except both legs are going to go out and both legs are going to come in. So depending on where you extend, it's going to depend on how intensely you're going to feel it. So the lower to the floor is going to be more intense than more up towards the diagonal. So you can choose. Now your option 1 is to keep your hands flat on the floor and just work the legs. Option 2 is to take your head and shoulders off the floor, and we're going to be using the arms as well. So I'm going round and then I'm tucking in. Oh gosh, hit my banner. Okay, so you've got a couple of options. You can either keep the head and shoulders off the floor and engage the arms as well, or just the legs. So you're going to do 4 more. Breathing on the out. Last one. And rest. Oh my goodness me. That was intense today. Ah. Just have a whole body stretch. So relax your legs out, stretch, hands above your head. And a gentle reach as if you're in a bit of a tug of war. I like to give my hips a little wiggle there as well. It just helps to relax all those hard-working core muscles, particularly you're probably feeling it right on the front. Okay, right, we'll do some hip raises. So for hip raising, we don't want to have anything underneath your head. Otherwise, you're going to have a funky looking neck. We want to give the neck a break. So take a moment. When you're ready, bring yourself back to that nice flat back that we were getting, or that flat cup of tea. So if you need to just take a moment to imprint a little bit and find that shape, then please do. It might feel a bit strange, it does for me without the cushion there, but I have to really think about it and not let the lower back of my spine really overarch. I have to really, really think. And thinking about that lovely tram line, so from your big toe all the way to the top of your ears, lovely 2 straight lines. Pull your shoulder blades down and towards the back. So with the hip raises, it starts from a pelvic tilt. So I'm curling my belly button as if I'm trying to press my belly button in towards the floor, and then I curl and lift my hips up. And just like it was at the very beginning where we were rolling down, it's 1 vertebrae at a time, all the way up until we're in a nice shoulder press. Pull those shoulders down into the spine, send the energy out through the tops of your kneecaps towards the opposite side of the room. We take a breath, and then we reverse the action. So I'm peeling down. So it starts in the small of my back, between my shoulder blades, I should say, all the way down. Every vertebrae gets a turn. So take your time, especially when you get to the lumbar part. That's tricky. And again, breathing in, breathing out as you peel. Lifting, lifting, lifting. Gently sending that pelvis up towards the ceiling. Energy going out the kneecaps to the opposite side of the room, all the way up to the shoulders. Really lift those hips, lengthen out in the front of the flexors, and then reversing the action. Breathing out if you can on the way down. 1 vertebrae. See each one in your mind's eye. Each single vertebrae. Good. We're going to keep going there. Breathe in. Breathe out to peel. Squeezing up. Squeeze those glutes. Send the hips high, 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 high. Now, once you get there, if you want to add in, you can do a little lift to the arms. And out. Breathe in. And peel down. So that's just an option. Don't have to add in the arms if this is enough for you today. Breathing in. Peeling up. Squeezing that pelvic floor. Squeeze that belt in. Arms if you're going to. And breathing out. Sending those hips up, up, up. Energy out the knees towards the opposite side of the room. Oh, peeling all the way back down. We're going to make the next one the last one. Here we go. Breathing in. Up we go. Peel, 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 peel. Sending up, 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 up. Arms if you are. Over the top. And back down. Breathing in. And out to lower. All the way down. Very good. Give your knees a squeeze. Little circle of the knees. And we're going to go straight into a quick stretch and a few moments of relaxation. So when you're ready, just keep one knee towards your chest and either the other foot goes flat onto the mat or the floor or stretching out, whichever you prefer. Again, just like I've said before, it's just what you're more comfortable with. It doesn't make a difference with the stretch. I'm squeezing that knee in, trying to almost tuck it underneath my armpit if you like, and get a nice stretch under here. Take a nice deep breath. Take it across the body, as if I'm folding myself in our origami style. I'm going to look away from that stretch, drawing my shoulders down into the floor. Take a nice deep breath in, and breathe out and just relax into it. Try and relax your glutes. Try and let that little spiral in the middle of your spine really happen. Get some range of movement in there. Breathing in, breathing out, coming back to center. Carefully rolling back in. Good. And then we're going to swap over legs. So I bring the other knee in. Little squeeze, trying to tuck it into my armpit if I can. Either keeping that foot flat or extending it, whichever you prefer initially. Nice long neck. Take a nice deep breath in, opposite hand to knee. Comes over the body. And I'm looking away from it. Try and make sure there's a space between your shoulder and your ear. Don't let it disappear. And let the weight of that knee, now you're probably not going to be able to get, well, you might be able to get your knees to the floor. I don't know, I can't. But I want you to try and relax in your glutes and your middle part of your back and let that spiral happen as you take the next breath. Let that sort of happen. You might feel like gravity takes over a bit for you. Get a little bit more range. So the very worst thing you can do is hold your breath. You want to try and feel really loose and relaxed, even though you're, twisted up like a pretzel. Bring yourself back to your center. Bring both knees in, give them a little squeeze, and we're just sending them around in circles. Nice, easy circles. And then when you've had enough of going one way, just reverse it, go back the other way. Nice, easy circles. Get some movement in that lower part of the back. Don't be afraid to have a little stop if you feel like, oh, that feels nice. Then do stop. Then I'm going to just put the soles of the feet together and let my knees relax out to the side in the lotus position. And take a few deep breaths. I'm going to put my hands on my ribs, breathing in through the nose. Out through the mouth. And just keep doing some nice deep breaths. Give your jaw a little wriggle. Close your eyes. So notice the tension that we hold in our jaw. And then just as your eyes are closed, just let your head excuse me, gently rock from side to side. Say no with your head. And just let that get smaller and smaller until eventually you come back to a center point. Now, if you're comfortable to stay in this lotus position, then feel free to. You might be hideously uncomfortable. So just find yourself where you want to be comfortable. You don't have to be in perfect alignment or anything like that. You might like to be back here with your feet flat on the floor. You might like to grab your cushion again. But just find your comfy place. And we're just going to take a moment to do a bit of well-being, general mindfulness. So I'm going to keep my hands on my ribs because I can. Don't worry if you're not in a position to do so. Just keep your hands nice and relaxed. And if your hands are down on the floor, if you prefer, just let them, your wrists rotate so that your palms are facing upwards and there's no tension in the shoulders at all. So we take a nice deep breath in through the nose. My eyes are closed, or just half closed if you prefer, breathing out through the mouth. And as you continue taking nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, really let that breath out be really warm and heavy coming from the back of your mouth. And almost as if you're being deflated. Let it all go. Filling the lungs with nice, fresh, new breath each time. And letting it all out like a deflated balloon. And we're just going to take a moment to consider, if you imagine that you might be lying on a beach, your favourite beach, your favourite place. And if you concentrate really hard, you might be able to hear the sea, or feel that breeze, the warm sun on your face, the warm sand in your feet, and supporting your body and your fingertips. I want you to really see that beach, really know it on a perfect day. And you're lucky enough to be the only person on the beach. And as you're lying on the sand, I want you to imagine the weight of your body just becomes greater and greater, and you're making a fantastic imprint of your whole self in the sand. And each time you exhale, your imprint becomes more defined as your body becomes more relaxed, more heavy, yielding to that nice warm sand. No tension in the hips, no tension in your jaw, no tension in the shoulders, in the ankles and the knees. Any minor aches or pains that you feel are just melting away with each breath. Nice, heavy breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Letting your body completely relax and really be in that place on the beautiful beach. The sun is warm. It's your favourite part of the day. You can really hear the sea. You can feel it lapping towards you. Everything is heavy. Everything is relaxed. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Fill those lungs. Fill every pocket of your lungs. Breathing in as much as you possibly can. And then really breathing it all out. Every last bit. Really blow it out all the way down to the last bit of air in the bottom of your lungs. And then the next breath is all fresh air. Really fill your lungs. Feel your ribcage expand. Breathing out. Let it all go. Falling deeper and deeper into that sand. One more big breath, breathing in and out. Feel the weight of yourself sinking. Feeling completely relaxed. And then very gently, just take a moment to wriggle your fingers. Wiggle them ever so gently, let the air back into them. And then wiggle your toes a little bit. Just let your head gently rock from side to side as if you're saying no. And then just move your body ever so slightly. Maybe you feel like you want to have a nice big stretch, like you've just woken up from a really, really amazing power nap. But keeping your eyes closed, I don't want you to move or have to go anywhere. I want you to stay where you are and just feel that nice, rejuvenated, relaxed, dizzy feeling of those endorphins zooming around your body, saying thank you. So you don't need to get up, you don't need to switch off your device. I'll do all of that for you. So just stay where you are, take some breaths. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And the meeting will end after the next 3 breaths. So take your time. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out.